Today we're going to the New York State Supreme Court, and there will be a hearing on our case against CUNY for cutting childcare services.
This fight is a fight for access to education.
I think I became an activist when I was a little girl. I grew up in Mexico, and I was raised by women because I never got to meet my father's side. Growing up, it was so contradictory because I grew up with all these strong women that have always led their lives on their own and have always supported families. Yet at the same time, I was always told, well, this is what a woman's supposed to do. And I never accepted that. Like, I would always be like, no, that's not right. You know, my mom and my grandmother, because I was raised by both, used to tell me, well, that's how the world is and you can't change it. I said, no, it's wrong and you can do something.
When I first came to Hunter, I went to the parent orientation and I met Luz. She told me that they were taking away one of the classrooms at the center. And I felt that it was very relevant to my life because there has been many times where I have been told, well, you're a mom, you can't go to law school, you know, you can't go to medical school, you can't go any further because you're a mother and it's too hard and you can't do it.
When we found out that they wanted to close one of the 4 classrooms of the Children's Learning Center, we organized mothers and we started meeting, and we've held like many protests, collected signature petitions, we took it to the Hunter Senate.
Today is a very sad day for Hunter College.
The first thing that we did when we received that letter from the administration saying that they were going to close the classroom was try to meet with the administration. They didn't even want to meet with us. At that point, they didn't even know what they wanted the classroom for. We were concerned.
We're concerned about this not only for the implications of closing that classroom that represents 25% of the classroom space, but also because that's the place where my son's teachers get together and they plan the curriculum. Additionally, this is the room that is used for children with special needs. Those children that receive an individual education plan, they get their therapy services in that room. And by not having that room, we won't be able to serve those children in that way.
And then we asked, well, what guarantee can you give us that you won't be closing more classrooms, that future cuts won't happen, and that you won't move the center off campus?
We met with President Robb, with Dean Aravayan, and their lawyer, and they are standing by the decision to close classroom 209 from the Children's Learning Center.
And they said, we can't give you any guarantees.
And we are not going to accept this no as an answer.
So after that meeting, it became very clear that childcare is not a priority at Hunter, and that parents are seen as a disposable and dispensable population.
This no is not going to go through. Because how many believe your education is a right? Education is a right! Fight, 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 fight! Education is a right! Fight, 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 fight! Save 209! It's your future and mine!
I've had several students over the years that have used the Child Learning Center at Hunter, and I happen to know for a fact that they would not have been in my classes or at Hunter if they hadn't had that available to them.
We now have an obligation, not just for ourselves, but for this future generation, to teach them and to show them what democratic process is all about.
One of the big issues around the Children's Learning Center is administration has been saying that it's underutilized, that they're not using the space, that they don't have a lot of students. Well, the reason why they don't have a lot of students is because nobody knows it exists. There's been no money, no attention to promoting the Children's Learning Center. What the management of Hunter College tried to do, and this is what really pisses me off, is they tried to pit student against student. Graduate students, students that need administrative support, against the parents. And it was such an ugly move. Next step was to continue to organize and continue to go to other places. So Luz was able to have speaking engagements. And from that, there were other meetings and other venues. It became very clear that the students absolutely were behind the efforts and leadership of Luz, Angela, and others.
After all our efforts, the Hunter administration decided that they were still going to close that classroom, and we decided to sue CUNY and Hunter for cutting childcare services.
I think she's been the backbone. I mean, there was a point in the middle of the fall when it really looked like it wasn't clear what the next step was, and I think without her determination, we wouldn't be here today.
As Your Honor may recall, This proceeding is based on petitioner's disagreement with CUNY's determination of the most efficient use of its own physical space, specifically room 209 at the Hunter College campus.
It's been very hard to organize student parents because we have so many obligations, but ultimately what's motivated us is the future we want for our children.
You can check the rules of the court, but
what do we want to teach our children? Do we want to teach our children to speak up and do what's right, or do you want to teach your children to stay quiet in the face of injustice? And injustice is not only like big tyrannies and the states, but it's also everything that has to do with our life. So this is about teaching what's right and teaching justice, equality to our children.
We're asking to have the time to respond to the motion extended to March 3rd. We see no reason to continue the TRO at this point.
One of the great things that we've discovered in this process is that we have a right for information from public entities, from public institutions. And the way to access those documents or that information is through a process called FOIL, which is Freedom of Information Law request. So you can request any information you want.
I would hope that this matter can be worked out so that Hunter's needs are met, but also that the needs of students and their children can be met.
Today in court, the judge granted my clients who are student parents at Hunter more time to respond to the college's motion to dismiss the case.
This fight is a fight for access to education at a time when not only in New York City, but all over the country, public education is under attack.
Sometimes people have to decide to be the voice of the voiceless. And what you are doing today is also being a role model to our people, especially at CUNY.
I think Luz is a real credit to her student body to be as courageous and standing up and organizing and being persistent and fighting with the passion that she fights, no matter what the odds are. She's a remarkable student and a remarkable leader and a motivation for all of us in CUNY.
Almost every single person that has been involved in this campaign has never been an activist. I'm the only mother who has kind of like training or experience. So just people taking that on their life has been a great victory. Like, wow, like activism is not something that some other people do. It's something that you can engage in.
Guys, let's do Here for Victory!
Victory! My daddy has camera.
I was gonna get like 3 soups. I want like the big, large appetizer.
The mixed appetizer?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, perfect. Get that and then 3 ounces of soups with the bread.
And I'm gonna get a chicken, so who wants chicken?
Okay.
Is that good?
Yeah.
The hardest thing about being a mother, a student, a dancer, an activist, someone who does theater, poetry, is that I'm just one. I feel like there's like a multitude inside of me, and there's so many things that I feel like a calling for. I never feel that I'm giving everything that I love enough. But I've tried to dedicate myself to only one thing at a time, and I don't feel satisfied.
56. So what's 56 plus 56?
So let's do it. The reason why I'm doing this is because I want to teach my daughter to do what's right, to do what's just in the world. And every time she sees an injustice, that she can speak up and exercise her right to express and to participate and know that she has power over her life and she can change things, not only in her life, but in the world.